All right. So, man, what a weird weekend it was with space weather, physical weather. Um, I'm going to pull up, hopefully, I need to share screen, but I'm going to pull up the Schumann data because we have been having so much timeline um shifting. It's just bananas. Let's see. Okay, well, let's pull up space weather first. And then I will also pull up the internet's been very slow, by the way. Well, of course, we had another one at, let's see, 19 minus 7, 1220. That tracks. I was feeling it. Uh, okay, give me my Schumann. There we go. Tomsk. So I want to show you what it looks like. And this only has Sunday and today, because it turns itself over every 24 hours or so and a new display goes in. So I'm going to expand this out if I can. There we go. That's good. All right, coming back into the Zoom so that I can share my screen. Share screen. Just share the whole damn screen. I don't have time for any nonsense. All right. So hopefully you are seeing the Schumann resonance. Right now it says, okay, is that, it's, okay, Schumann, here's where I get confused. So all of the NOAA, NASA websites, most everything uses universal time code, except for the Schumann Resonance Observatory System in Tomsk, because Russia. So they use their own local time and are like, kiss my butt if you don't get it. So for my time zone, it's 13 and a half hours ahead. So if you're in Eastern, it would be 11 and a half hours ahead, etc. So since we're in 8 a.m. here, that's local time there. That means that it's, 7:30 p.m. here. And so this happened right here. 1,800 hours minus 13 and a half. So about 5 a.m. we had this really prolonged, longer example of a time shift. And in my opinion, this was us clicking into a new timeline. It has been crazy just scrolling through my Google News feed and watching things change overnight. So this big one right here that happened this morning, I mean, you may actually physically, mentally, and emotionally feel it. It was like so different. It just felt so different. All of the density and everything moved away. So I hope you can see my little mouse pointer thing. But if you, look to the left of the screen, you can see there's all these little long white lines. And if we went back to Friday, you would see even more of them. This was actually a slowing down of that process. But the couple days before that, it was just constant. I mean, it was kind of like here where there's an hour in between. That's what it was like. And so when we're going through these periods of time, so much is being merged and converging and being cleaned up, lots is being shifted. And I think we feel that in this last weekend. And I know I'm not alone because I talked to a lot of different people, but I felt very, and it wasn't the lunar channel, just so you know. It was a combination of the physical weather in my area, a storm that was going to blow through and kind of make my drive pretty difficult on Tuesday. Arrived early, which is great, except it flared up my neuropathy and a couple other things. And so I was kind of doing that. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling so bad. Am I going to be able to drive on Tuesday? Like all of that what ifing, and just feeling physically really crappy. And then on top of that, mentally just, spinning my wheels, thinking about, okay, well, I still have to pack. And then my son actually got sent out to Denver on a business trip, the older one, who was supposed to be the house sitter while I'm gone. And I found someone else. But, over the weekend, I'm like, now I got to find somebody else. And, I was doing that whole freak out because all I could do really was just lay in bed, do physical therapy things to deal with what was going on with my body. And while I was doing that, it was just like, I felt like somebody was taking a Rolodex, if you all remember what those are, and just went, like that had all my emotions, and things that trigger them, so that it was like, all right, you're just going to run through all this and get rid of all the shit that doesn't work anymore. Rip those stupid cards right out of that Rolodex and thin out the garbage. So how I was able to get through that without a lot of interpersonal drama and trauma was just being kind to myself, going, it's totally fine, because you'll wake up tomorrow and feel better. And if you don't, then it'll just take you longer to pack and you'll leave later on Tuesday. And it's not the end of the world. And that's why you have a loose travel plan, But I could have very easily gone down a downward spiral of crying and I'm not good enough, and I just total freak out, panic about the whole thing. So obviously I got past that. And I feel a lot better today, and I'm very excited that I managed to do all that. So let's take a look at spaceweather.com, and then I'm going to pull up NOAA. And I actually haven't looked at this in a few hours, but there's just been some really weird stuff. Lots of really cool auroras. So any of you who are at the northern latitudes, keep watching for those. We haven't been having particularly large flares, but this proton density, usually it seems to hover around about an 8 or a 9. So that's considerably higher when we're talking about exponents and all of that. So there is more literal density coming in through Earth's atmosphere. But there was a CME that might give us some geomagnetic effects tomorrow, but what I really wanted to look at that's strange, and I still don't quite get it, it gets so frustrating that, let's see, maybe that'll get me to NOAA. All right, that's not exactly the one I want, but I'm getting closer. So the data was just weird today, and it gets frustrating because it does not show you geomagnetic field map. Interesting. Empirical conductivity model. Oh, this is really useful. So we have updated geoelectric field maps, which is helpful for us to kind of understand how all of those energies are interplaying. But in the solar wind, part of what happened over the weekend was the solar wind went from like 500 down to 280, and I think we literally feel that slow down, those of us that are sensitive. But there's just some stuff in the data that has been weird. And it's frustrating sometimes because we can't measure what the flares are on the other side of the sun. So, open this up. So we had a couple of really good sized flares. You can see that one there, and then another one And that spot has been spewing protons at us pretty much routinely for the last several days, since like mid last week. But the weird part is, what I thought was weird is, if you look at, I want to point at the things, but I can't do it. If you look at our regular X-ray flux that I show you all the time, you see we had a pretty good size C-class flare there, and then there have been some peaks, but not particularly huge. However, after, I think, let's see, what's the time marker on here? I think this was around the big one that we saw this morning. So probably, let's see, March 21st. So probably that little one right there before the big one. All right. But when this red line goes up, that means that we have much more density coming towards the planet. And so I was trying to figure out how we got that elevated place on the graph with what was showing up on the X-ray flux. It was very confusing. And then the planetary K index as well has just been strange. I mean, thankfully, we're not getting slammed with geomagnetic storms. But at any rate, definitely some freaky stuff going on. And I will try to do an update online tomorrow, because the coronagraph images should be really cool. There was another event. If I go back to spaceweather.com, I think I can show you what it was saying about that. Oh, no, it's not going to do that. Oh, well, you'll have to wait for the update. There's a very large filament. I am going to see if I can find that coronagraph, though, the NASA footage. Soho. There we go. There was a magnetic filament that had a very large eruption, but the shock wave of it went through the corona of the sun instead of across the surface like it would, let's say, if it was Earth. So let's see, can I make this bigger? Are you gonna? All right, no, this is the one that doesn't work. I need the daily MPEGs. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's because my internet is shite, or because I'm occasionally, oh my God, my internet is so slow right now. Come here, man. Anyway, they have a really hard time loading on my phone or here or anywhere. Sounds like a Dr. Seuss song. Come on, man. Okay, there we go. So this is from the 18th to now. So like Friday to today. So, I mean, holy moly, look at that on the far side. What was going on? It was like a huge release of stuff, and especially right there, right? So this is just barely into today, because this doesn't show us the last 8 hours or so. But anyway, wow. That's why I wanted to show that stuff to you guys, because I know a lot of you were saying that, you were really feeling it this weekend, that whole going through it feeling. So, weather grid work. I'm not going to go too in depth with it because nobody's here, but there will be more on this as we go forward. But basically, with weather grid work, what we're trying to do is we're not trying to interfere with the natural weather patterns or whatever Mother Gaia has going on, because that is not her job, and she has that under control. She knows what to do, you know. And those things, whether it be fire, flood, hurricane, while they're very inconvenient and sometimes devastating to humans and sometimes the wildlife, although I think they are part of the whole natural system that just kind of accepts that it is. You know, they don't try to fight it like people, because they're like, well, this is my home and this is where I live. And if this is what happens, this is what happens. Whereas we're just like, yep, I'm going to build my house on the tippy top of this cliff and then complain when the wolves eat my Yorkie. So we're always finding ways to interfere, you know. But what we have been able to do and what we can do, and also what you can do personally, because I literally just used this. I knew a storm was coming, and I asked, you know, if there's any way for this to come through sooner and pass on by so that I have fairly dry roads to drive over the Rockies, I would appreciate it. And so I asked the air and water dragons and earth dragons to get in on that. And then I also ask the moon and Gaia and the sun if, you know, if that's possible and if they can help me out with that. The dragons are very, very responsive. I went over in January, and it was kind of a similar situation where the news reports in it, which they're usually very reliable, the weather reports here, shockingly reliable. But it was the same thing where, oh, I don't know if you're going to be able to drive over, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, no, no. My fire and air dragons are going to take care of the roads, and the snow will fall on the land where it needs to and not on the highway. And that's exactly what happened. And this time the storm just blew on by. But what we're trying to do when we do those things is mostly protect people, you know, protect life, protect animals too. We're trying to protect life as best we can. And what we just talked about with Ukraine and the love protection blanket, bubble, dome, shield, however you decide you want to do it, the same thing can be applied to weather. You know, if and natural disasters like fires and whatnot. I mean, at this point, I kind of think fire is part of our weather, unfortunately. I mean, it always has been, but, you know, we happen to be going through one of those 1,000-year cycles that makes it look like the world is ending. There was a dust storm over Europe because the Sahara sent a dust storm up that way, and they were talking about that. It looks like the apocalypse. I don't know why everybody thinks everything looks like the apocalypse. I imagine if we actually saw like assuming that was even a thing, actually, let's just say a society ending event. I don't think we're going to be posting news articles and pictures saying it looks like yada yada. But at any rate, there's a lot that happens with weather. So when there's storms with tornadoes, what I'm focusing on is sending protection to the areas that are being most threatened. The first time I had really good, conscious, aware success of this was during Hurricane Ida last year, when I was actively working with some of you to do just that and protect the area and help the levees hold in New Orleans. And even though these storms come through and they do some damage, they do some property damage, it's not, you know, there were so few deaths, so few losses. And so that's kind of what we're going for with that stuff. That's my take on it. That is what Gaia has told me is helpful for us to do, what she would like us to do. And it's also part of us learning to love and take care of each other, being conscious of others suffering and others being in danger, and doing what we can to assist with that. As we get closer to specific storms, I'll go into more detail with different things when those alerts come up. But for now, you can go back and listen to the Hurricane Ida thing. But for instance, when I am in my Titan energetic size and I'm consciously tracking this storm and following it, I am doing things like, because I am as tall, as a hurricane or a tornado, that would be dinner. My son will get that. But I realized I could eat the storm. I see myself just consuming it, running interference in the rotation, slowing down the rotation by directing energy at it in the opposite direction that it's spinning. So those are just a few examples of some of the ways that I saw that. And when we were working on the levees, we were putting very large, what would I call it? Just like, it sort of looks like an energy net, like a fishing net, only made out of energy. But we laid that over the levees and reinforced them, and held that together. And I watched the storm to be able to track it. And so that's how you can use Gridwork to assist with weather. People who want to meditate for more rain or snow or less fires or all of those things, I fully understand the why and the wanting to. But we need to stop it, because that is a self-preservation move, not a Gaia balancing move. We must be allowing the earth to continue natural processes. Gaia is like, cool, all right, this is what I'm doing. It's just like part of her existence. Sometimes I see like the tornadoes does different things, like, oh, well, maybe she's got a little gas, or when a volcano erupts, she has some steam to let off, some energy to release. And all of these extreme weather events are kind of part of this period of time that we're in. So if we can try to focus more on helping people in those areas and protecting life as much as possible, that is our best effort. Because doing the other stuff, you're not hurting anything necessarily, because honestly, I think mom just goes, oh, God, I know. Like, imagine, all right, imagine 7 billion children going, Mommy, when's it going to rain? Mommy, make it rain, make it rain, Mommy. Mommy, make it rain, 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 make it rain. She's going, shut up. I've got it under control, and it'll rain when it rains. And places have drought for reasons, and places have floods for reasons. And I know none of us enjoy it or like it, but for now, it is what it is. And so our main objective is to protect life. I think that's enough of me yapping, and I'm really excited to go eat my Cobb salad. It's really funny. I don't, they might have them in other parts of the country, but we have something here called Village Inn, which is like a Denny's or a Lyons, that kind of diner place. And for some reason, I just got myself in love with their Cobb salads over the panini uh, the last 2 years, and I crave it. It's really funny because I'm not usually, I mean, I like salads, but this is like, you would think I was getting like triple chocolate cheesecake or something, you know, and I'm like, yes, this salad is going to be so good. Um, so I will see y'all next Monday. And I think next Monday is Dragon Gridwork. So that'll be fun. And I love you all. And I'll share as much as I can from my adventures. But I'm also, my pendulum wasn't speaking to me because I was trying to ask it if I should bring cards in case somebody wants a reading. And I think my pendulum was like, bitch, please go on vacation for a few days. It's bad enough that you're taping Meow podcast while you're in Denver and that you're going to read with your students. So leave your damn cards at home. Anyway, so I'm proud of myself and I'm going to go have some fun. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of adventures. Much love to everybody. Love you guys. Oh, and welcome, Simone. We have a new patron. Welcome, Simone. So happy to have you here.